Just say that.
Uh,
Hello and welcome back to the Doctor and the DJ. I am not the Doctor. I am the DJ, and I am joined by the Doctor, who finds herself where? And where are you right now?
I'm in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
San Rico. And I was just saying before we went on there, I was telling a story that Amy's been gone for a few days, and she just said, "Dude, I've been gone for like 24 hours." And your partner.
36 maybe.
Okay. When your partner's gone and you're supporting them and you put up a brave front, like, yeah, no, everything's fine. I got this. This is fine. By the end of the first night last night, I was like, I can't. I've decided not to have kids. And the problem is I already have them. So this decision is a bad one because I've already gotten to know them. They seem nice. And now I'm stuck with them. They're very nice humans, but they really take up a lot of my time. I mean, I had an idea for a podcast. I want to do a ghost story podcast because I got on the air the other day and told ghost stories, and Amy said, "No, you got to stop doing something else." So okay, no more kids. Can I just cut that out of my life? Imagine it. Here's the thing. Here's the rub with. We didn't plan on talking about this, sorry. Here's the rub with kids, Amy. I love them. They're so great, and they're amazing humans. But imagine how much time and money we'd have without them. But with them, I love them too. How would I do without them? Anyway, that's the human condition.
You can't return them.
That's true. You should be able to.
So don't impulse get a kid. Like even animals you can rehome.
That's right.
Even dogs or cats, you can rehome them if it's not working out. Human children, you cannot rehome them. I mean, forget adoption and the foster system and all that. I'm just talking about if you are capable of raising your children, you don't get to return them.
Do you think you come from a family of 14? Do you think at some point they were like, man, number 3 and like 9, it probably is.
You know what? I don't think my parents knew which ones of us were doing what.
Or what order
And
even.
I got it because I got in trouble for things all the time I didn't do.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just because the sheer amount of people?
Like the sheer amount of people, and also overwhelm, lack of sleep, and memory. No, that wasn't me. There's a lot of that. Or you could never, if you were in an argument with a sibling or something, they had zero patience with like hearing the story and helping us work through it. They're just like, you're all in trouble. Everyone's in trouble. You're a child. I'm a parent. I'm tired as fuck. You're just like everyone's in trouble. Everyone's grounded.
There's your policy. All right, Amy finds herself in Puerto Rico now. Tell us why you're down there. What are you doing down in Puerto Rico besides getting out of the rain and the clouds?
Yeah. It's 87 degrees Fahrenheit here, and I
nice.
spent 2 hours at the pool today in between this mastermind conference that I'm in. No, I belong to this mentor group of entrepreneurs, a lot of them in health, a lot of them in social justice, people running their own businesses that also want to build inclusive businesses. And it's a great group. And I wasn't going to come because it didn't fit in my schedule. And I was going to go in January instead. And last January I was here for a similar conference with this group. But a lot of life lifes you, right? Life lifes you. That's why I'm here.
So last year she was in Puerto Rico and I was doing the same thing. I was here, missing you as always. And I got a text that I'm now on a plane. I'm getting on a plane to go to Los Angeles, which I found odd because she'd only been there for a little while in the conference. And Los Angeles has nothing to do with any of this. But I thought, well, Amy probably knows what she's doing. She likes LA. She's just going to LA. And then the story panned out with actually a previous guest on this podcast was going through a traumatic experience, right? She got word that her mother died while she was at the conference.
Suddenly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my friend Dr. Erica, who we have had on this podcast,
Yeah.
she's an ultra marathoner, triathlete, incredible human being.
Awesome. Yeah.
And Dr. Erica and I came to the conference together in January, and we came early, and we had actually spent the entire day before the conference in the El Yunque rainforest. And we had hiked through the rainforest for an entire day, jumping off cliffs and sliding down waterfall slides and having a lot of fun here in Puerto Rico. And we had even gone out to this beautiful dinner the night before. We were even like, oh God, we bought the truffle pasta. You know, we spent a little bit of a cash on our dinner, but we were just like having the best time together.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day of the conference, we were in the main room with, you know, like there was like a keynote speaker who's amazing, Amy Purdy. I don't know if you know who Amy Purdy is, but she is an Olympic gold medalist snowboarder who has 2 prosthetic legs. And she was also in Dancing with the Stars. And anyway, she's amazing. She was the speaker. And then we did breakout rooms. And Dr. Erica and I each went to a separate breakout room. And I'm sitting in the breakout room, and the person on the stage had been presenting for about 5 minutes and then got a piece of paper handed to him. And he gets on the mic and he says, "Is there an Amy Lindsay here? Please meet us at the back of the room."
Oh,
And
man.
my heart just like
That's never
went to
good.
my stomach.
Yeah. You never want that.
That is never good news. No one's like, "Come to the back of the room, you won the lottery."
Yeah. Hey, I
Or
have
no
flowers
one's
for you.
like,
Here's some chocolate.
"Come to the back of the room."
Okay, you can go back now. we
Yeah.
we just wanted to give you a milkshake, and now we're like, okay, you can go back now. Congratulations. No, it's oh God.
And I walk back there, and there's this woman staring at me like this. And if you're listening to the audio version, her eyes were very wide, and she says, "I've been trying to reach you. Don't you have your phone on?" And I'm like, "No, I'm in a goddamn talk. Like, my phone's off." And she gave me the news that Dr. Erica's mother had passed away like minutes ago, and that they had they had helped her get to a private room,
Mhm.
and she was asking for me. Whew. And I walked in the room, and it was she had collapsed onto the floor and was surrounded by a group of women holding her and praying with her. And I just threw my backpack down and got in the pile, got into the pile and held her. And I was consoling her and rocking her back and forth. And there was another woman who looked at me and said, "Will you take her to Los Angeles?" And I just said, "Yes." And
So
we went to LA. Like we after a few minutes, I got Dr. Erica's information, my information. We were booking a flight. We were booking a car. We were just like, it was all like this. And one of the women came back to our hotel room with us, and we were just throwing all of our shit, like our socks and like swimsuits and things from jumping down waterfalls were out on the balcony still drying, and we were just like throwing them in our suitcases. And we just fucking flew away. Left Puerto Rico, left the conference, and I was on a plane to LA. um, to this day, when Dr. and Erica and I talk, she says to me, she didn't know it at the time, but she needed that so much. She needed to be escorted because she's like, no, I'm fine, I'll go. And I was like, nope, I'm going with you. And it allowed her to just grieve and cry and wail and listen to voicemails of her mother. And I could just handle the luggage and the plane tickets and where are we going? What gate are we at? And, all that stuff. So I missed this conference. And then it came back around like a similar version of this conference for right now in October. And I wasn't going to go because I was going to go in January again to the January one. And then I got news that I have to have a total hip replacement again of my left hip. I've had my right hip done. And the surgery is booked for December, and there's no way. There's no way I can come in January. So I was like, well, time to take a crowbar to the schedule and figure out how I'm going to Puerto Rico right now. So I did. I wasn't going to Puerto Rico 3 weeks ago.
No. And as you've heard, we have a retreat coming up that we will be leading in a few weeks. And I will meet you down there. There's a lot of lessons to be learned.
I'm not back in Seattle until, I don't know, October 30th or something.
You don't want to be back here. It's
poor me. Oh, sunshine.
Yeah, I'm looking outside right now and it's not good. Speaking of Seattle, I believe we have a guest here. I believe we have Shaina Shepherd waiting for us. And
yes, let's bring her in.
Hello.
Oh,
hey. Hello,
Hi,
Shaina Shepherd.
there we are. Hi, everybody. I was literally like, okay, I don't know what's going on. It's good to see you, though.
That is an entrance right there. Hey.
It sure was.
Sorry, Shaina, it was my fault. I'm in Puerto Rico.
We already crying.
And there's no daylight savings time here, and I got the time wrong. And then I was like, oh, shoot, I'm not, So we were like, Shaina last minute, like, we changed the time.
And I was scared to leave the chat room. I was like, don't leave the email. Oh, what do I do? It's been 11 minutes. Maybe they're talking about something really cool. So I didn't want to interrupt.
That's why we have a producer, because we would totally screw this up. I want real quick. Shane is a friend of ours who we love to see, and I don't even, when you look up Shaina Shepherd, if you, we look up we already know you, but I was looking up, your bio and things like that. I'm like, man, no wonder we all get along. You are busy. You got a lot going on. And then all the different things, singer, songwriter, vocal teacher, community organizer, the people you've collaborated with over the years, which I'm very familiar with, playing music from gospel to metal to everything in between. And then I saw a thing, I think it was on your Bandcamp. It said, they used to call me Ladybug because I was bright and round. My hobbies include music, talking too damn much, and acting fly. Thank you for your attention. And that fits. I appreciate you taking the time today, Shane. And what we've been talking about, just jumping into the whole thing. And our guest of season 2 is Amy and I have been talking about this sort of midlife interrupted idea that we are not getting younger, that we are kind of not putting up with any more bullshit. And doing what we love and being around people that we need to be around and hopefully creating the way we can create and getting through this thing called life. And when we're listing names of people in our world that we look at as some people who do that, you popped right up because it's every time we've talked to you, it's just like, and you're so talented and it's just great to have you on. And like you said, you talk too damn much. So that's who you want on your podcast, by the way. Any new podcast people, that's your guess. So first off, how are you, Shaina? How's life?
I'm doing well. I am so blessed. It is very busy again, which is exciting. But I got to tell you, I took some real time. I mean, right around the time that you guys invited me to join you for your Death in Music concert, which by far was one of the most pivotal concerts I've ever been a part of. I'll tell you why later. That's really what I want to talk to you about. You went and changed my whole family life.
No, all good.
But our family life my family life has changed a lot, and therefore put me in a position to kind of, like you're talking about, reassert what it looks like right now in this midlife, like, taking that opportunity to change directions because you can. And I feel like I kind of was doing that internally and adjusting the way that I worked and adjusting my expectations that I would put on myself and those that I put out. And been spending a lot of time with my family, honestly. And that, I gotta say, that's the first time in my life that I've been doing that. But now jumping back into the flow of things, getting back into, it started to rain, and we all were like, "Oh, we're from Seattle. Okay, let's get it." So we're back into the swing of things, and I have a different perspective, I think. It's been a great year, but what a season, yeah?
Yes. Do you want to talk to us about the Death of Music event? It's funny you bring that up. On this day, I just announced on my radio show that tickets are on sale for this year's Death of Music event hosted by Amy and I. And it's unless you've been there, it's hard to explain just how spiritual, and I am at a loss for words when it comes to that show. And every year I do the same thing. Like, well, that was last year. It must have just been this, but I do it every year.
It's not the same. You do it so differently. I remember the first time I went to a Death and Music show, I was just an audience member. I just moved to Seattle, and I was actually in a very low place, truly. And like a woman I worked with in a phone room at telemarketing, she told me about the concert at Town Hall. And that's the only reason that I went. No, she didn't even work there. She worked at the Seattle Symphony.
Oh.
And all of those things, the craziest part about all this telemarketing and this giving and all this, they're all connected. There's like this inner working system of working class people in Seattle that have worked with all these nonprofits. Anyway, she was in the circuit, and she said, "I think you might need this." And it was like such a religious experience for me as a church girl who had kind of fallen from grace in my life. I was back in a church environment where it felt like a service, and it made me immediately listen in a way that I wasn't able to listen at that time. And I'm like, wow, music, I'm just saying it was crazy enough to be a part of the next year. And you guys, both of you are just such heroes. I remember talking with you, and you were so kind to us. Like, I didn't realize what an emotional give back it is for you to do that until I was there in the back with you guys. And you made sure that we were good, that we all had our wine if we needed, and all the waters that we needed. And that we were all you know what I mean? Like treated like musicians, like artists. But then you were out there giving so much. Both of you are you're heroes to me, truly.
Do you know where
it's crazy?
Do you know, Amy and I sit and every time we do this, our favorite room to be in every time is with musicians. Every time we say this, every time, any time we find ourselves in a situation like that, we realize how lucky we are, how blessed we are to be around creative people like we have. And luckily we have these shows like the Smooch for a children's hospital. Right. We have the Death and Music around grief. So we're able to be a part of like mission-based shows. But I like that Amy has it all whole and do a thing before. And every time I'm like, and in some cases, like Amy
center thyself.
And Amy's been in music a lot of her life, but she's doctoring right now. And some of the people I know that maybe she doesn't know, and I think, oh my God, I love this so much because I know they're uncomfortable. So Amy,
you know what though?
I love it.
Here's the thing. Y'all got to set an intention anytime you are going to do something that is going to take from your soul like that.
She's right. Preach.
If you are going to give like that, and it's an offering, right? The Death and Music is an offering. And people are digging into their pain, and then they're creating that beauty with the music or with their words. And I'm just like, y'all, we're holding hands in a circle.
Right.
We're gonna
this
take
is real.
A moment. We're
gonna
real, harness that pain and that joy that's on the other side of it, because they come together. Right.
It was so, and as an artist, a part of that process, thank you. It was such a cathartic experience, y'all. Like it was, I do this all the time now. I remember being a little girl dreaming that I would be able to do what I'm doing. I've
Mm.
never been like, I want to be a star. I just didn't know how to express myself except for this place. And that was such a fully healing check mark on the tree of life for me to be able to be exactly there. So much healing of my inner child. The craziest thing is my parents, my birth parents, came to that show. They never come to anything that I do, ever. Like we've had words. The word Jezebel was thrown once during the Barracks days. Okay, that's where I'll come from. All right. So for them to be there for that, I even just talking with them in the lobby, they just were looking at me with new eyes. We really started having real conversations. It changed my whole family life. I am sorry to tell you this now. I
Wow.
probably could have texted you, but here we are. It really did. I had my
Wow.
best friend Maya with me, like my chosen family
Mhm.
was there, and there was the ushering of my birth family, and we all needed to heal and grieve in order to get to some other steps. And I'm not even going Maury show with this. I'm going like real talk. When you get some really, really intelligent people like y'all to look at a problem, and then you get healers like me, like Molly, to come in and contribute energy, and you do set intention like that, like we look you had us do, hold hands and compel ourselves to bring our best selves. It is something really special. I wish it was always like that in this job, but then again, that you just got to do therapy, I guess.
Do you think? Do you think though, like in the if you had a common denominator of being a human, I think honestly, people want to feel connected, and they want to have their pain recognized, and they also want to release like their love.
Right. That's
And I
what it
think you
is.
can do that with music in a way you don't. You can do it with words too, but I think music literally vibrates. There's like a
Right.
vibration that it taps into. And I think when you're having a collective experience like grief, that is a human experience, because without death, you don't have life. Without life, you don't have death. Like
Hmm.
it's intertwined.
Oh, y'all, we need a grief choir. We need
Yeah.
to put together a grief choir. Oh, the power of the whale. Oh, I was just got lightheaded. I'm telling you, when I was a little girl in church and I saw people lay out and scream, I remember being a little girl being like, that's fake. That's so weird. Why are you choosing to do that? As you get older and your body grows into itself and it starts breaking down within itself and new parts start growing inside of itself, and you get older in your body and you feel the vibration of tone and you feel the placements, you feel the hips, and you have gratitude for all of those things. That wail is so healing. I don't even know how I would live without my voice at this point.
Mm.
And I wish people like what you're talking about, like having that in that room, that acknowledgement. I wish that everyone could experience that without having those limitations that people put on themselves with their own stuff, you know. That wasn't my stuff, that's their stuff. Really valid stuff. People feel silenced in their bodies. And it is so sad. It's just the invisible walls and light, what is it, windows that they put around themselves in order to experience life, but then they say I can't do that. Like when I teach people, adults, all the time, I've had a huge studio during the pandemic, and I only got like my four homies, and those homies, they've been lights in my life because they've allowed themselves to open up a window so that we can share space. But they had told themselves, I can't sing. I
Mm.
can't. What a huge thing to say out with your mouth and your lips and your air, to say, put words out of your mouth and say, I can't sing. You're singing that to me. You know, my mom used to say that everybody is one of God's songs. And how crazy is it to be a song that can't sing? Like that is, I just want to beat up everybody that told those people that
That's
with
right. How
love.
many how many people out there, even I mean, especially adults, have something in them they haven't gotten out, and they haven't been able to be creative, and they haven't had that out because somebody told them they couldn't, or because they told themselves they couldn't. And it's funny you bring that up. We talk about this a lot, Amy and I, about literally finding your voice in this conversation. And it can be anything, any kind of art, any kind of, and you get to a certain age and you say, I can't do that, because so many years you haven't, and we kind of had a policy in our relationship and just how we are. Like the minute the words "I can't do this" come out, then you have to do it. I mean, you
Oh, I love that. Oh, you're so brave.
yeah, you kind of have to. And and I got that getting to know Amy because she would introduce me to new things and I'd be like, I will never forget surfing lessons. I always think of that. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm too old. And this was years ago. I'm too old to get on the surf. And as soon as I said that, I'm like, I'm being asked to go in the ocean and stand on a board and like float on water. And I'm like, no, you don't do that because you haven't and you can't. And I was terrible, but it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to do that. So I love what you say about people finding their voice. And it's got to be harder the longer you go, right? I mean, the people, if you're dealing with adults who say they can't, how do you tell them they
To
can?
be a kid, that's like saying you have to let go a part of your inner child.
Mm.
That's not wrong, but that inner child, that part of you was scolded and is the master for the parents or whoever the authority was, and they need to grow up. They're the one that needs to grow up. Everybody else can stay a kid, and it's like really hard for people to let go of that. I know it is for me. I could not stand on a surfboard right now. I'll be honest with you. I just had the opportunity. I'm like, that's brave. We all have our stuff. I don't think that it's ever too late to get more courageous. Like, why would that be a part of it? Like, if I'm gonna be old and decrepit with nothing else to get me by but my wit, I certainly don't want to be a little bitch about it. So I feel like
I gotta
you're
write
gonna
that
get
down. That's
braver.
good. I could be a little bitch about it.
I have a couple
Amy?
things to say.
Yeah.
The first one is I need to immediately hire Shaina for voice lessons.
No,
I play piano and I
I
used to
know.
sing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't sing.
Yes,
See,
you've said that.
you totally bested me on this podcast.
Well,
That's
I
number
love how you said used to, not can't.
That's
Hey,
it.
glory to God. Oh, I felt that now. Let's go. Let's jam because you're
Listen,
an
okay,
artist.
okay,
Let's
I'll
be
write
just
you
jam.
after this. Okay, number two is that so I lead a lot of retreats and groups of all genders. They tend to be femmes, but of all genders. And we do this exercise where we do a meditation where we think of ourselves as being like 5 years old.
Oh God. Nope, I'm out.
I
I've
have
already
to
done
argue
this
this.
one. Nope, this
What's
one
going
fucks
on?
me
Come
up.
on. It's fine.
I'm out. Goodbye.
Don't worry, I'm not
All
doing
right.
the whole thing. I'm just going to explain it.
No, do it.
I'm
No,
so
you don't have to do it,
excited.
but explain it. Oh my God.
So you're 5 years old
Okay.
and you imagine yourself in a room in the house you grew up in or wherever you were when you were 5.
He acting like he has stomach ache.
He
Okay.
does have a
5
stomach
years.
ache. This is giving him like anxiety. So, and then like for me, I used to go hide in the closet in the study because my house was full of trauma and it's like
Oh.
I'm one of 14 kids and there's just all kinds of shit going on at all times. And I used to go hide to get peace in there. And then you do this meditation where you as an adult right now, you go back to that place, you open the door, you call the child, your 5-year-old
Oof.
child to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I get the stomach ache now. I
And you
understand.
say, you look them in the eyes and you say, I love you. I'm sorry. And it's going to be okay.
Whew. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a journey. I just had tears prick my eyes. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, y'all. The girl who says she can't stop talking has been silenced by that. That's beautiful. I'm gonna try that. I don't know if I can do it right now. Nobody wants to see that. But do you do this with each other, or
I
is this
lead it
just
like a meditation, like I talk and guide people through it.
It,
Mm.
I don't,
And then there's a
Let's.
whole process of like saying goodbye.
I don't
Oh
remember, Amy,
no. Oh.
when you and I did that, because she had talked to me about it, but I hadn't done it. But I don't know what I was going through. And now when she brings it up, I go immediately back to what happened during that meditation because I've never had a stronger meditation. And I was in Sioux City, Iowa. I remember my little desk by my bed, and I remember being scared, and I had a tough really, and I was there, and that little kid who's so cute.
You
It's a-
were so cute.
I was a cute little kid, and I put my arms around that little blonde dude and told him it's gonna be okay, and I was sorry. And it was like it both messed me up and was so effective. It's amazing. It's amazing
Oh
that,
my goodness. Alright.
and we need to do that because I needed to tell
I'm so
this
happy
dude who
for
holds
you.
me back. He holds me back a lot in a way, and that's exactly what we're talking about. That this childhood trauma and uh, it's so
Right.
it's so unfortunate. And then you watch your own kids. Like we have two boys, and you
Hmm.
pray that's not going on.
Can you feel it when it happens? Like guiding yourself through your own healing and from your inner child. Do you have access to seeing your children's selves more effectively, do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
We listen to our kids,
Yeah.
right?
That's the
I
difference
think
too.
validating them and
Do
not,
you talk to them now?
yeah,
Like they
and
talk
not,
to you?
oh yeah, and
Wow.
not rushing
Okay.
them through their emotions. You know, if they're upset, like, oh, it's no big deal, like
Yeah.
allowing and saying, say more about that. Tell me more about that. And
That's
usually,
beautiful.
children, they don't have the words to articulate their feelings, and so they act out. And then adults go around constantly just trying to correct their acting out instead of trying to be curious about it and have the children say more about it until you can start to understand what's really going on.
Right. That's so I don't want to be turn into one of those people that are bitter as the world changes because I feel like I was without because at the end of the day, we are all just little pieces of a bigger design. And I'm just telling you exactly what I'm thinking in order to
Yeah.
process a feeling of grief and sadness that I had. But I want to focus on celebrating you and your family. I've been going through a lot of stuff with my folks. And one of the reasons is we had a lot of death in our family. I was mentioning that just uh, my family are basically cowboys in a sense, or settlers. We came from really strong family lines on the East Coast and moved. My parents moved together when they were in their 20s over here, um, just because they were in the military. There were no families of color. I'm going to restart my camera. Hopefully that helps. There's no families of color, and we were very isolated. And I think that put a lot of internal struggles on my parents to uh, see each other as their entire support system and therefore stack a lot of responsibilities on us. Um, and so now, during this time of grief, where you're supposed to come together, that's why we're doing it, not because it's like comfortable and natural, but because we're supposed to. We're all in getting together faster and faster and faster than ever to celebrate other people's lives moving on. And we're realizing that we really don't know each other very well.
Mm.
And it was very sad for everybody involved. One of the things I have had to, and I told my mom that I was going to talk about this today. I wanted to let you know that. But we have been dealing with a lot of old memories of what it feels like to live in a traumatic household for a child. I, in my opinion, I think my parents were very stern, physically and emotionally, and ethically challenged with the way that they brought an ethical code into raising me specifically. And that has created a really complicated relationship with ethics for me. You see, like, it's really hard for me to put music out because I often want to talk about and invest in things that I think are important, and I get caught up in like the microcosms of the way that we live in the world, our community, and things like that, as opposed to focusing on internal reflection.
Mm.
And that comes from being a kid. It's so simple as not getting a space to have emotional contact at all, getting no hugs, stuff like that, not being able to eat, or having physical harm be the only parts of the relationship that feel consistent. And I think there's actually a lot of kids that are from my generation that are dealing with that. These are people in the early 30s, late 20s, and maybe even, the early 40s, maybe. They have like strong relationships with their parents. But the millennial that's coming from a point of we want to communicate. We have emotional hood that we felt that was separated us from other people. We wanted parents to hug us. We wanted people to listen to us. And we are a certain type of millennial where we see the Generation Z and young kids, we see people learning how to treat people like people and not as assets as kids. We see people doing that, and there's a point where you're like, really, my whole existence is wrapped up in feeling that type of affirmation. And I see that I will never have that. So, what is next? I'm talking about that because I'm finding that that is actually really thematic for a lot of my friends right now. A lot of my friends that are artists or creatives, even in like a digital sense, that are living in our town and are really shutting down right now and just really like, I wonder if AI is going to fix my life. And they're thinking about that stuff over there, just like how they're doing, or like calling a homie or going to a show. Or people are really feeling alone, like Nickelodeon sitting there in front of the TV, like that's your mama alone, watching SpongeBob, like that's your homie alone. It's like a thing that's now moving into the younger generation that we're influencing. I don't want to pass along that loneliness, because while there's going to be a kid that has you as parents from this vantage point in this conversation, my opinion, stellar. But they're also going to have people like me as people that are going to look to for guidance, because they think it's cool that we're sad and they don't get it. And so they're going to ask us about it. What we don't want to pass is, let's have a drink and, smoke a blunt and just talk about how important we are as individuals. We don't want that person. We want a person that's like, yo, I learned a whole bunch of stuff about trauma. And now I have a community. I have this, I have new ways to relate with the world around me that make me feel grounded. And like I have a little bit of purpose and a little bit of time. I think that that's a good spot. And I think maybe you guys are going to have to teach us a little bit more, teach me and my generation a little bit more. How do we get there? I wonder. I guess I just have to like, I don't know. I gotta just listen to your podcast more. I
No,
think that'll help.
I think, you know, I came from a middle class white family. We were Mormon in Utah. And so there was a lot of religion, a lot of like fundamentalist, this is right, this is wrong, you don't, And then there were so many of us that there was emotional abandonment. And I, from the outside, looking in, it just looks like, we're just a normal like family with two parents, you know, like church
Right.
going, whatever.
I know. Seven
And
brides. Cue the seven brides for seven brothers theme song.
yeah, just like we're singing on the roof and playing,
Right.
And I've had my own realization of like the emotional trauma and the emotional abandonment because there were so many of us, and my parents used the church dogma as our parents.
Oh, right. Mm. I'm
That
so sorry.
trying to connect to my parents was difficult. I did more with my dad than my mom, but it was difficult. And it was just, when my brother died when I was 10 years old, And there was no one guiding me through that experience. And it was partly like, oh, well, you've got, 50 other siblings. Like, what's one less? This fucked up
Yeah.
attitude. And there
Man.
was a lot of pointing to the dogma of the religion, but nobody was like
Mm,
walking me through grief.
right.
And I
I feel
think,
like we come with like Christianity itself. I mean, did you get that where they were just like, I mean, you have it pretty bad, but what about Jesus? Like,
right.
are we allowed to cry at all? Maybe not. I don't know. I don't. There
You
were
know,
not very many opportunities. I mean, Jesus wept and put a period on it. I mean, he didn't even really deal with anything.
right. I'm at this conference in Puerto Rico right now, right? And a woman stood up today and was saying what her business was. And her business, so she's in her 50s and she's a black woman who helps Christian women um, basically through their trauma. What she was describing is that you're told that you have to be a good Christian, you should be grateful, and then you end up in these fucked up situations. You end up in abusive relationships, you end up compromising yourself, and
Right.
it's all sort of like, well, Jesus did that, there's
Right.
kind of this like you should be grateful shame.
The shame, teaching shame at little girl ages
Mm-hmm.
as a part of like our unique relationship with femininity. I mean, man, I don't want to get too graphic or anything, but okay, don't get too graphic or anything. Having a relationship with your body I feel, is so hard when you come from that environment. And processing grief is so physical, processing loss and like even just being disappointed itself. Like, I'm disappointed. It's so physical. And I feel like for me, like as a woman growing up with a vagina and growing up with an autonomy of a growing woman, because I don't want to segment people that are, didn't are not biological women or whatever. But I felt like this thing is happening to me, but it's always very shameful. The goal is to blend in as much as possible and to have a relationship with men that is either silent or subservient. And if you can do that, then you're doing a good job. But the silent and the subservient, that person is never going to be heard. And you're going to be taught that you'll never be heard and that your perspective is only valid to how quickly you can solve a problem or answer a question. And I feel like there is such beauty that comes from being raised in a Christian household as a woman too. That is not there's not a lot of times that you can really express how beautiful it is, honestly, to be a part of a family and have that be centered in yourself and have that physical relationship with wombness that other women don't get when you don't live in that way. That part is great, but why does it have to be either or? You know, I don't understand why that has to be a part of it. I think that can change.
Well, I think you're speaking to a sense of owning spirituality and understanding how you connect to everybody else, right? In our
Right,
humanity. But what happens to everything, right? Like spirituality is a value, and if there's something perceived as valuable, people come around and try to control it, sell it, commodify it, and
right.
control the people who are interested in it.
That's right.
And it's
Why
like
is that the
reclaiming
sense of humanity? But
our
please,
bodies and our
reclaiming.
spirituality, reclaiming them as ours.
Right, right. That's why this whole Beyonce phenom has happened, and this Taylor Swifties are up. They're out at the football games. This reclamation. Women are like, I pay taxes for this kingdom too.
Yeah.
HGTV on right now, and I am there. But I mean, that Beyonce concert, it was so incredible to witness it. It was cool to not be there for a religious experience. I'm like, get a girl, I love the record. But like, I'm like a fan for like we all are. But really, what was amazing about it was seeing the dedicated teamwork of everybody to be around a united vision with such a complex like concept, and to be executed that way, to be like the mind of a Black woman like Beyonce, celebrating being a Black woman in a very unique form without revealing her trauma, but just celebrating her accomplishments. And like that in itself is so rare. I feel like even for any woman, just the rareness of being like, wow, we really are seeing how you've been and where you've come from. And it's still uniquely feminine. I wish that that could happen too for men too. The emotional points of
Mm.
men, not just the strength of things and the prowess and, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you said about the generations and my generation. There's you're in between them, and so for my kids, so my generation, none of us, everyone around me, had a either no father or a messed up father or a completely absent father. Everyone, like I look back and I think I had a friend CJ, and he was a weird dude because his dad was involved. I remember this, like he coached the little league team. Dr. Olson, dude was great. Fuck, I love that guy. And I remember him because he was the only dad around. My best friend's dad had died. I had another friend who we figured out later was very abusive, like scary abusive to my friend John, and a different John. And there were others anyway. So what I found out being around, other fathers, and I've even been on a podcast, parental podcast, shout out, it's a great podcast for dads, about this generation where we're like, we don't know what we're doing, first off, because there was just nobody there. And I think we're turning, at least the people around me, I would say is the exact opposite of my upbringing, where there are so many dads involved and are showing their emotions and are trying to teach their boys to do the same, because everyone will benefit if men could just show their emotions and just be vulnerable. That's what I'm trying to do on the air. It's hopefully to let men know everyone benefits from you being sensitive and emotional and connected. We have so are disconnected, and one day with my sons is more emotional connection than I had with my entire life with my father. So just one day, today, hanging out with my little boy before my show today and giving him a hug and like checking to make sure he was okay. And that's it. I've already achieved like a better job than my dad did, and the bar is so fucking low. But I have hope that there's this generation. I don't even know what my youngest is now. What generation is he in now? I don't even know. 8.9 XZ, Zen, Zeus, Thor. I don't know what it is, but whatever
Generation Thor.
whatever Hen is in, he is his, like, I'm seeing a lot of more involvement, and I hope presence and vulnerability. They certainly see it in me. So I am hopeful that does have impact, because I agree with you. We can't I'm so sad to see like the suicide rates are so high. In the highest rate are the people in the mirror. And I understand why. And it's one of the reasons we're doing this is to talk about like, don't give up. Like it's not over. Like you can find that. So that's my 2 cents. Because I believe middle-aged white men have pretty much fucked up things. So I'm hopeful. Like they're pretty much
okay.
They're pretty much.
Let's put it on the table.
It's all
Let's put it on the table.
every like.
We gotta give middle-aged white men a piece of cake. Calm down, everybody. Okay, we gotta stop I don't care. They said this black girl they're gonna take my black card and cut it up. I don't care. My best friend is a 44-year-old white man named Jay.
Yeah.
He's also my lover. I love him. He's my best friend. And you know what? He gets no slack. I feel you, dog. Because it's not just, I mean, the idea of racism and separatism in that sense, coming from commodifying people.
Right.
Okay, we get it. Choose your squad and rock. That's how I think about it.
I love
Choose your squad and rock. You know, if you want to wear Adidas, then you have to know like where they came from. We have to talk. We have to go and go get coffee in Brooklyn, and we have to spend money on records and invest in our house. And we have to go to concerts. We're going to go see a rock show, then we're going to go see a rap show. That's how we live. We both have Gemini moons though, so it makes it easy to do more things. But at the same time, you choose your squad and you rock. You know, it's like if you're gonna be obsessed with money and currency and everything, and your dad was somebody who came on the Mayflower or whatever. Live your life, bro. That's your squad. I'm not gonna come for you. I have homies that might come for you. I'm not gonna get in between your shit. But this white man right here, because he marches with me and we buried our friend Elijah who was gunned down in Capitol Hill
Yeah.
together. We cried over that. He's on my squad. That's my squad right there. And anybody, I'm on a lot of people's in that same sense. It's like I don't feel like it's fair for people, for men to even allow themselves to get hit like that because they're so valuable and they're not being told that they're valuable beyond what their access to power is. And we can change that if we get over some shit, you know.
I I love what you're saying. I appreciate you. And I was gonna, wrap up this podcast and you just said something that I think Amy and I are both gonna react to. I don't know if you're Elijah. I don't know if you're aware, but we were present when he was shot. Amy was standing over him in the street. We were
What?
we were there for his nephew. She helped his nephew. It was right outside our bar. We happened to we had just gotten back in town, and we saw the car turn the corner, miss our patio. It rammed into another car, and no one was getting out. So a very nice man, he was an EMT, was visiting our bar, ran out, and Amy ran out into the street and was one of the first people there. And I want you to know that we were present, and Amy was very much present for Elijah, and we felt his spirit. We felt it. I don't know how else to put it. And I didn't know that leading into this, but we were honored to be there. And I know Amy gave a sense of peace to his nephew, because the police were there immediately. We didn't understand why the police were there because it was so quick, but then we saw there were gunshots, and she really helped him navigate that moment. So, Amy,
Big. I don't want to interrupt you, Amy. I appreciate you both. And I'm having a very emotional response to my friend's passing.
yeah, of course.
I also want to acknowledge how deep it is to be there when people transmutate and move into a different realm. And I would say it is comforting to know that there were people pure of heart and open in spirit that were there with him when he left us. And I'm sorry if you felt the burden of that. I'm sure you feel that burden all the time, but I feel for you.
I
That is a hero.
I have this feeling that first I was supposed to be there. And what I was doing, I just witnessed a car going 10 miles an hour crash into parked cars outside of my place of business. And as a medical provider, and I'm trained in emergency medicine, the first thing I thought was he's unconscious for some reason. So he must have had a seizure or a stroke or a heart attack or something. And so we ran out there, and pulling him out of the car and then seeing his nephew there was terrifying. And then seeing the gunshot wounds. And I just remember thinking that once the police came with the gunshot wound emergency kit, because I didn't have one on me, I was relieved that someone was there who had an ability to help beyond what I could do. But I remember thinking, I want this man to have a witness that I want to witness, and I felt responsible for making sure that he was getting the best care he could get, and that if I needed to intervene, I was going to fucking intervene. And in that moment, people need a witness. And his nephew was being asked a million questions about the person who shot them, and I just went over, and he asked if he was okay, and I said, yes, honey, and I just made sure they were checking his body for any more trauma, and I wanted the nephew, to know that someone was there, seeing him as a person, not just a witness, and then seeing if he was okay. And that's all I really have to say about that right now.
If you're not familiar with Elijah Lewis, you can look it up, and there's a fund that we have contributed to and the bar's contributed. And Shaina, we're actually working on a mural in the bar on the wall that faced there. And we were already thinking of doing one, and then we're going to do this You're Not Alone and have Elijah, his name there. And so we just feel something changed that day. So
it changed the entire city that day.
It did.
It changed.
It did.
Elijah Lewis was a hero. He was a young kid.
Yeah.
Who inspired many, 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 many members of the African American community in our city to mobilize and work through the pandemic, and also build a new way of thinking about being an African American in Seattle. He was a light and a hope to many people who had gone through generations of disappointment, and he was inspiring and affluent and just a really, really sweet and genuine guy to inspire to the folks that were younger. He brought people together, helped us raise a lot of money, helped us put together African Town, helped us put together incredible concerts, helped cultivate young artists that are still trying to find their way, and always had a message of positivity and endurance, and really came from the city. And he will be missed forever, and he'll be a hero. So it's exciting to hear that you guys will put up a piece of art. And
yeah, it's the least
inspired by him. That's exciting.
Yeah, his spirit was there, and anyone who's been present knows that we felt that, and Amy was incredible that day. The first responders were actually, it was tremendous. Mm-hmm. Such a terrible situation.
Terrible loss, right?
Yeah,
it's okay. It doesn't have to be a happy note every time we end. I just want to give you a hug.
I know. I get a hug from Puerto Rico.
I know. Shaina, are you can you come to our Death and Music this year? Are you around?
Absolutely.
It's the 12th of November.
Be there. Mm-hmm.
Would you sing a song for Elijah?
Did you know I have a song called Elijah?
Oh, fuck, I didn't, but man, this stuff just freaks me out.
I don't know what you know, because I know you know the same people I know.
I know.
So I don't know what you know.
I know, but I didn't know.
But they don't know.
Amy, I'm not kidding. Amy said to me, we were working on the lineup, and we said, we have to have someone represent Elijah after what happened. And do we know anyone? I was like, I don't know. And I'll start looking into it, and it never materialized. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird ask. Like, oh, hey, Death and Music is a weird ask, period. Because I'm like, hey, anyone die in your world? Want to sing a song? It's not easy.
I'm gonna send you the song.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the.
As soon as we get off.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you've done the show before, and I'm in charge of it, and Amy's in charge of it. And so we can just do whatever we want. And we would love to have you back and mention this and just do a song, and talk about Elijah. That would be incredible. So November 12th, more theater.
Wow.
It's more theater, so that's exciting. You know who else is
Yes,
singing?
some more. Who's singing this year?
Riz is going to sing. Riz
Oh
Rollins.
my goodness!
Yeah, with Tomo on guitar, Tomo Nakayama on guitar.
Oh my gosh, Tomo Nakayama.
Jimmy James is gonna come and play songs he grew up with.
He told me that.
Yeah, he's gonna do like songs he grew up with his mom, and like he's gonna play them. And then we have other surprises I don't want to get into yet, but it would be incredible if you could make it. That's the way to end the podcast.
All right, y'all. I'll see you guys at the
just book Shaina Shepherd to return to Death and Music. We've come full circle. Made my day.
Thank you so much, Shaina.
Shaina,
for
thank
taking
you.
the time today.
Thank you guys so much.
Hit me up.
I just have so much gratitude for you. Thank you, Amy.
Hit me up on my email about Death and Music too. Do you have my John and Cakes?
I do. We all have your email.
Okay.
John. We all have your email.
It seems like it. A lot of people seem to have my email, but I'm glad you do.
I put 4 stars on it. So you can see it.
just write me and I will tell our wonderful events person I just booked another person, and they'll be psyched. So thank you, Shaina, and you are such a bright light, and it's just been an honor to talk to you today. And I am not surprised at all that we had even more connections here today. Amy,
look at us.
I'm gonna say don't go away, don't go anywhere, Shaina. But we're gonna because I want to mention something off the thing. But
okay.
I want to thank everybody for producing the podcast. Ruinous Media, Patrick, thank you for everything, and everybody at that group who helps us out. And Amy, thank you for taking the time in Puerto Rico today.
In Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
I'd be out at the beach. Yeah. Oh no, you're right. It's
yes.
Make sure
enjoy the weather.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Doctor and the DJ. You can watch us on YouTube live, and then we have these up later. And go to our Instagram as well.
Where can people find you?
Yep,
Sorry
that's
to
what's good.
talk over.
Yep. Oh, all good.
Me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can find me in Seattle for the next 2 months, or you can follow me on Shaina Shepherd Music on Instagram or Facebook. You can also look at what I'm up to at www.shainashepherdmusic.com. Got a whole bunch of videos and writing and blogging and all the places where I talk too much. That's where I put it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We appreciate